Hello and welcome to the Neuro Combative Conditioning podcast. This is number 7 in the podcast series. Today we're going to be talking about developing a military mindset and increasing mental toughness. Where this came from is I was looking at how to recondition people's minds at the unconscious level. All the therapeutic work, all the training work that you can do with people amounts to nothing unless you can change them at the unconscious level. You can't just expect people to consciously maintain control of themselves because it doesn't work. It requires an effort of will, and eventually the unconscious template will defeat the conscious effort. That's why people know that they should stop smoking but keep smoking, know that they should lose weight but they keep eating crap food, know that they should train more but they don't train as much. So I started looking at different ways of changing the unconscious template. One of the things that I've rediscovered and I'm really happy with and really excited about is straight up classical hypnosis. Not vague hypnotherapy where it's suggestive and maybe you want to do this and maybe it's down to the client. No. What works really well is authoritarian, directive hypnosis where you say, listen, relax, go into a trance. I want you to imagine this, I want you to imagine that, say these words inside of your mind and then come back out of a trance, and it's getting fantastic results. And then the other thing, looking around, was I was like, well, really, the military are masters of this. If you extend the definition of the word hypnosis to move beyond the movie idea of hypnosis, which is like one person hypnotizes somebody else and the other person is totally in their control. They're in a trance, they're asleep, they remember nothing. And then they wake up and they do everything they're told to do and they question nothing. You know, they'll go and kill the Prime Minister of wherever. Whatever it is they're told to do, they'll do it without question. But I don't see hypnosis as working like that. And also, I think we need to extend the use of the term hypnosis to encompass a little bit more, to encompass any kind of mental conditioning or brainwashing delivered over time that alters a person's behaviour. Well, that defines what the military does when they take a raw recruit, an incompetent, not switched on, not fit human being, and turn them into a competent, skilled, obedient, disciplined soldier. And they do that in very, very certain ways. They do that in very particular ways. So I modelled backwards. I reverse engineered from what the military already does, and I saw that there were 11 principles that they adhere to that allow them to recondition a human being's mind to take the shape that they want it to take. Okay, hold on to that idea for a second. Why is this so relevant? The reason why this is relevant is because nowadays we are all the victims of somebody else's hypnosis. We are all the victims of somebody else's mental reconditioning. The frightening and dangerous part about it is the vast majority of us don't realise it. But we've been conditioned to think a certain way since we were kids. And most of that conditioning has been delivered by the TV. The second biggest way of delivering that conditioning has been through other forms of media, like newspapers, magazines, films, everything else. And then the rest of it was delivered via the education system, was delivered via the environment and via the culture that we grew up in. But to quote Terence McKenna, one thing that we need to remember is culture is not your friend. To paraphrase Terence McKenna, what he then goes on to say is culture is there to serve the purposes of other people. Your primary function is in this society is not to be a happy, free, independent individual. That is not the concern of the corporations that run the governments that we have to live under at the moment. The primary concern at the moment, that the only game in town is money. The only game in town is profit. So we are the victims of a lifelong stint of mental reconditioning that says you are weak, you are insecure, you are needy, and you need us to provide you with solutions. You need these things. You need these pharmaceutical drugs. You need these clothes. You need this product. You need this whatever in order to feel okay. A good consumer is somebody who feels not yet complete. So there is an endeavour going on out there to convince you that you are not complete and you are not enough. And there literally is, you could call it paranoid conspiracy theory if you like, and stick your head back in the sand, but there literally is a war on for your mind. I don't know whether it's necessarily a war that is to take us into a 1984 style scenario. That's debatable, and it's politics, and I don't know much about politics, and I don't like to get into that stuff too deeply. But what is hard to deny is that there is definitely an agenda to make you buy more things, and that agenda hurts you. That agenda poisons you, not just you, but everybody around you. We are probably at our most consumerist as we have ever been in human history. We are probably spending more money on stuff we don't need now than we ever have in history. And I suspect human misery is at its peak right now. I've started doing therapy work again in the last 3 or 4 months. Let me assure you, ladies and gentlemen, most people out there are miserable. Miserable. They live... Your average person, I know I'm talking to people in therapy, so they're coming to me because they want that therapeutic. They realise they have a need for it. But my observation is most people live just a few clicks above suicidally depressed. Now, you might think that that's an outrageous statement, but talk to more people. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, and ask people about how happy they are. Ask people and say, do you feel comfortable? Are you nervous? Do you see a bright future ahead of you? Do you feel stressed out right now? Do you feel disappointed? Do you feel ripped off? Many people are feeling ripped off and they're feeling disenfranchised. That's a problem. Now, part of the problem is this mental reconditioning that we've suffered from at the hands of advertisers and at the hands of marketeers. And if you want to blame somebody, blame Sigmund Freud. Blame him for everything. No, not really. His nephew, Edward Bernays, is essentially the creator of the modern marketing machine. And he did this over in America. And he did it based all on Freud's psychological principles. Edward Bernays had a job which was to take people from only buying stuff that they needed, which was how we used to buy things back in the day, before the turn of the century and the industrial era. We just bought what we needed. His job was to say, okay, how do we get people to buy not what they need, but what they want? And he studied under his uncle, Sigmund Freud, that if you can take control of people's unconscious drives and attach those unconscious drives to products, then people will buy products that they don't need anymore. So he learned to attach, what are our basic drives? Fear of death, fear of pain, fear of anonymity. What are our other more positive drives? Well, we seek pleasure, we seek sex, we seek identity, we seek a stronger sense of self, we seek power. So then they would say things like, well, how can you make cigarettes be associated with feelings of empowerment and independence? Well, Edward Bernays did it. He got hold of the women's lib movement, I think it was the suffragettes, and he organised a marketing campaign whereby they would go and protest, and all of these ladies would smoke. And the idea was they'd walk down the street smoking, and he called this campaign, it's very clever but extremely evil, this. The cigarettes were relabeled, they were rebranded as torches of freedom. If you want to know more about this kind of thing, there's a great documentary on YouTube called The Century of the Self. It will do a much better job of convincing you than I can in a 20-minute podcast that, we have been the victim of some fairly savage psychological reconditioning. And be clear about this, they're using exactly the same principles that the military psyops units use. The military psyops units modelled from marketeers, not the other way around. So that tells you how masterful these guys really are. They are very, very clever indeed. Now, what's the solution? Well, if you've been convinced your entire life that you're weak, you're sick, you're anonymous, you're nothing, you need things to be better, to be strong, then that makes you a great consumer, but it also makes you think that you're weak, you're sick and anonymous and not enough. So what's the cure to that? Well, we need to make ourselves, in order to reclaim your personal sovereignty, in order to reclaim your psychological and emotional independence, you need tools that allow you to undo this conditioning. You need tools that will allow you to recondition your mind to think in a new way, to process reality in a new way, and to develop a new self-image. So part of the work that I was doing recently with people, I did classical hypnosis, called it the Hypnotic Reconditioning program. People loved it, got a lot of very good feedback from it. So all the people who bought it, I sent them another offer and said, would you like me to, for a very reduced price, would you like me to do a personalised hypnotic induction? You tell me what specific areas of your life, your goals and your obstacles, and we'll do a personalised induction. And I did that for about 20 people. Now, I would say for all 20 people, for all 20 of those Street Fight Secrets customers who wanted a personalised hypnotic induction, 90% of what they're asking for was the same. Everybody has the following problems, and if I've got this right, this will describe you as well. A general overriding feeling of insecurity that doesn't really stem from anything in particular, they just generally feel insecure. A lot of people are torturing themselves with the idea that they might get into verbal conflict and be humiliated, or that they might get beaten up physically and be humiliated, even though they never get into arguments and they never get into fights. They have a fear of a scenario that never actually plays out and isn't likely to play out, but they fear it. And no matter how much they train, they still feel like, I am not confident that I could handle that if it happened. So they're just torturing themselves with this phobic, neurotic idea inside their own heads. Another big one that everybody said, can you guess what it is yet? What everybody said that they struggle with, and this kind of surprised me a little bit, the 100% hit rate, is procrastination. Everybody is procrastinating. And I gave that some thought and I thought, well, actually that makes sense. If we truly are at the mercy of cultural conditioning, the last thing your cultural conditioning wants to give you is an ability to follow projects through to the end. Nobody wants to see you go out there and successfully set up your own business. That would take you off the financial grid. So, and would make you more financially independent. Nobody wants to see you get to the gym and follow through on a diet and eat less junk food and require doctors and medicine less because you've taken control of your health again, because you've taken control of your nutrition again. Plus we live in an environment that is full of distraction. It's going to drive us all ADHD in the end. And I'm as guilty of this as anybody. You know, this course was also designed to help me. I am that guy who will be chatting to two people, one on Skype, one on Facebook, whilst, you know, a YouTube video is playing in the background and I'm doing some work and I've got like 3 or 4 things going on at the same time. So another thing that people complained of was a lack of focus, a lack of being goal orientated. Another thing that people complained of, lack of energy, lack of motivation, and what sounds like the symptoms that usually describe low-level depression. Fatigue, just tired all the time, sleep problems, no motivation to get anything done, and basically feeling like there's not much point and there's not much to look forward to in the future. That's a problem. You know, you can live like that for a few years, but after a few years, you're going to start having serious issues. We've got to take this stuff seriously and nip it in the bud. How do we do that? Okay, well, the military mindset course is, in essence, is about cultivating mental toughness, giving you the mental toughness to follow through on a training program, giving you the mental toughness to, if you choose to begin a business project, to follow through on that business project, giving you the mental toughness to control yourself so you're not the victim of every stupid little childish impulse, and I'm talking about me as well here, that pops up that says, hey, I want to go and eat junk food now. And I'm like, well, hang on a second. Are you a grown-up or a kid? It's only kids who want to shove sweets in their mouth all day. You know, you're a grown man. You've got to make more responsible decisions than that. You've got to. But it actually takes a degree of mental toughness to actually say, no, I'm not going to follow that impulse. Sometimes the impulses are more self-destructive. I gave you a jokey impulse. Maybe it's smoking. Maybe it's drinking. Maybe it's the impulse to be cruel to people. There are a few people in my environment currently who I think are addicted to verbally bullying other people and to pulling them down. I'm seeing narcissistic personality disorder, not full-blown, but little bits of it in the people around me. And I'm like, I think what's happening here is these guys and these girls have got addicted to the buzz they get from passive-aggressively making other people feel worse about themselves through words. It's like a form of psychological manipulation, but instead of psychologically manipulating people to feel good, which is what I do, they're psychologically manipulating people to feel bad for the buzz that they get from that. So these are things that we need to learn to fight off. You will encounter narcissists. You might not get punched within the next week, but within the next 7 days, you will encounter a narcissist and you will have to deal with some narcissistic bullshit passive-aggressive strategy at least once in the next 7 days. How do you defend against that? Where's the emotional self-protection course? So all of these things were rolling around inside my head, and I said, no, really, there's a problem. We should create a solution for it. So I looked at the way the military train people, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to use that as a template for mental reconditioning. These guys know what mental reconditioning is. We've been force-fed the blue pill. Let's create a red pill. This isn't NLP. This isn't CBT. This isn't any particular school of psychology. This is just what works. This is like the Combatives or Jeet Kune Do approach to applied psychology. So I identified these 11 principles. Things like being immersive. You know, the military completely immerses you in a totally new culture whereby they tell you what time you're going to wake up, what time you're going to go to sleep, what time you're going to eat, what time you're going to wash, everything. It's totally immersive. We need to adopt immersive strategies. This can't be something you dip your toe in for 30 seconds a day, bang out an affirmation, do an anchoring exercise and then drop. It's got to be more than that. It needs to be way more encompassing than that. Another principle they use is repetition. Repetition, 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 repetition. Why does every military training camp in the world always use repetition? Well, maybe because it works. Maybe because that's how the human being actually learns. So that's another principle that needs to be in there. Being committed. There is a principle of commitment in military training, and this is a big one that people need, and it's really a cornerstone of mental toughness. If you want to be mentally tougher, not just with yourself, this isn't just about, you know, you asserting boundaries with other people and saying, listen, you know, I don't want you to do that, I don't like that, please don't talk to me in that way, blah, 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 and setting those boundaries and sticking to them. It's also about setting boundaries with yourself. You know, they say there's no discipline but self-discipline. Commitment is a huge effort in self-discipline. You really, when we're talking about mental toughness here, you're talking about being much more mentally tough with yourself. Commitment, the ability to see things through, and it takes a lot to cultivate commitment. Now, what do we do in an environment where I've noticed in therapy and in training, culture has changed rapidly in the last 10 years. Everybody is scared of pain now. Now, I don't mean they're scared of pain as in getting their nose broken. I mean they're scared of discomfort. I mean they're scared of driving to the gym to train before they've even broken sweat because they're frightened that the drive to the gym will inconvenience them, and being inconvenienced and experiencing discomfort even for a few seconds now is becoming a form of not taboo, but something that people just don't want to do. They don't want anything that is even in the slightest bit inconvenient. But do you see how this downward spiral can develop whereby your world becomes smaller and smaller, and you'll end up spending more time watching TV and more time online, cultivating an online world, because if you refuse any inconvenience, the downward spiral is this. I now don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to be around other people. I don't want to drive there. I don't want to drive back. So I'll train at home. So then you don't train as well. Then you don't actually go out there and flex those mental muscles. You become a little bit weaker every time you cave in and do that. You become a little bit mentally floppier every time you give in to that naughty inner child, that spoiled brat inner child that throws a tantrum and says, I don't want to drive to the gym. You go, okay, we won't drive to the gym. We'll train at home. But you know you don't train as hard when you train at home. You know it's not as good when you train at home. You know you haven't got the equipment when you train at home or the competitive drive when you train at home because there's nobody there to compete with. Do you see what I'm saying? So then you don't train as well. So then you get worse results. So then you're demotivated. And then once you're demotivated and you've put on a little bit of weight, well, then you feel sad. Then you feel anxious. Now what are you going to do because you feel sad and anxious? You're going to go and eat something. You're going to go and eat some junk food. You're going to seek out some cheap little thrill, some cheap little high. I'll go and eat a chocolate cookie. Ooh, I feel great for 5 seconds. Oh, no, I'm sad again. I'll go and watch some porn. I'll take a drug. I'll smoke a cigarette. I'll drink some alcohol. Anything that makes me feel slightly better now. But you know what is sadder than that? Is I notice that people aren't just trying to make themselves feel better. They're just trying to make themselves feel less. They're trying to numb themselves. Once we've got to that point, ladies and gents, we're in trouble, and we need to start admitting it. Where we are headed to right now as a society and culturally is not a good place. If we keep on these tracks, if we keep on the tracks we're on now, we're really going to be in trouble. So this is my effort to say, hey, we don't need to do this. We do have options. Let's reclaim our personal sovereignty. Let's reclaim our independence. At the end of the day, it's your body, it's your mind, it's your life. You should be doing what you want with it. But without the tools to do that, you're never going to be able to do it. So beyond all the principles like being more decisive, like being more assertive, like just making do. That's another great principle that the military instills in people. Make do with what you've got. Have it rough and ready. Just don't be a perfectionist. Too many people are trying to be perfectionists nowadays. Nothing that functions out there in the world at any level is perfect. Everything can be improved. Everything that is out there could be improved to some degree. Do not expect perfect from yourself. Just make do. Get used to making do. Get used to sleeping on a couch once in a while. Get used to, not watching your favourite TV show every bloody day. Get used to not having every single comfort. Because I tell you, when this zombie apocalypse kicks off, you guys will be killing yourselves left, right. The people who are most addicted to comfort and to convenience, if there was I'm joking, I don't believe a zombie apocalypse is coming, though I hope there is. Those who are most addicted to what we have in modern culture will die first, because they'll lose hope first. They're the one, if you're addicted to painkillers, if you've got to take painkillers, or you're a hypochondriac, or you have Munchausen syndrome, well, what are you going to do when the doctor's clinic closes? What are you going to do without that stuff? You'll be screwed. And you'll feel so anxious and so depressed that before a zombie has even managed to bite you, you'll be flinging yourself off a high building. So how do we take it back? There are all these great principles. Being more decisive, being more assertive, being more aggressive, going for what you want, being more mentally tough, being self-disciplined and being strong, not just with other people, but with yourself. How are you going to do it? So I put together 8 tools. I put together 8 different tools that will allow you to adopt a whole different mindset, that will allow you to immerse yourself in a wholly different way of living your life, that will empower you, that allows you to reclaim your independence, reclaim your personal sovereignty, and make you a stronger, happier, more fulfilled person. Part of that anxiety, I know a lot of people are feeling anxious right now. Let me help you. For free, by the way. This is a free podcast. Part of that anxiety is you are afraid at an unconscious level that you are wasting your life. It's time related. Low level feelings of anxiety that come from nowhere are your unconscious saying, hey there, Billy Bob. Times are running out. Tempus fugit. We'll be dead one day. You're wasting your life. Hurry the F up. Many people are procrastinating. That's a very recurrent theme, especially when I'm talking Street Fight subscribers in a coaching context. Procrastination is the one thing that comes up time and again. People aren't getting on with stuff because it's tough. It's not convenient. It's not comfortable. You want to get on with stuff. You want to make something happen. You've got to break out your comfort zone. Oh, I don't want to be outside the comfort zone. Dude, you've got to kick yourself in the ass and jump out the plane. You've got to get out of the comfort zone or you'll get nothing done. Grit your fucking teeth and get it done. So how do we do this? There are 8 different methodologies that I give you. A lot of the stuff is stuff that you'll be familiar with from before. Meta anchoring is going to be a powerful one. How to do affirmations properly in a way that is powerful, that impacts you on an emotional level to cause unconscious change. I'll teach you on this course how to hypnotize yourself. Everybody should learn how to hypnotize yourself. If you don't like the word hypnosis, call it a guided visualization. It will work just as well, even if you give it a different name. There are other things like immersing yourself in another philosophy. During this tutorial, I do give a bit of time to talking about ancient Greek philosophy, particularly the Stoics, the Cynics, and how the Stoic and Cynic philosophy was reflective of the warrior cultures at the time in Greece, and particularly the Spartan way of doing things. The adjective Spartan is perfectly suited to a Cynic or a Stoic approach to life. Everybody should have a look at Stoicism and Cynicism as philosophies. They are what we need in modern culture right now. And basically what it's all about is self-discipline, frugality, being happier with less, and making do. You know, just getting by and making do. Do you know what happens when you get by and make do? Your self-esteem improves. You know what happens when you kick your own ass out of the comfort zone and you lose some weight, you start eating better, you feel healthier, you feel stronger, your self-esteem improves. Anxiety, the anxiety you feel is the fear that you are running out of time and the fear that you are wasting your life. And let me improve that anxiety for you by saying you are running out of time and you are wasting your life. I don't subscribe to the model of psychology and psychiatry that says, no, the unconscious is mean and it's wrong. Suppress those feelings with drugs. Your unconscious is there to serve you. Your unconscious is there to protect you. If you feel angry for no freaking reason and it comes out your unconscious, maybe you should. If you feel anxious and it comes out your unconscious for quote unquote no reason, maybe you should feel anxious. Consider those options first. The low level of depression that you feel is frustration. You should be angry, but you're suppressing anger. This is how it works. Sadness that is depressed and natural drives that are depressed, that are repressed or frustrated, manifest as anger. Anger that is in its turn then repressed will manifest as depression. So you're depressed because you're not shouting and getting angry like a man or like a woman should. You're going, oh no, got to keep quiet, got to do my thing, just be obedient, don't make a fuss, don't make a scene, let's be nice, let's be polite. And that manifests as physical illness, but also as depression. Another reason why people are feeling depressed is because they're ripped off. Another reason why people are feeling depressed is not just because they suffer from a psychological illness where they think they're walking into a shit future. They are walking into a shit future. If you feel depression right now, it's because you've got nothing to look forward to. And it's not because you're an idiot, and it's not because you're mentally ill, it's because you're intelligent enough to realize that we are in trouble and that you are in trouble. If we don't start taking control and making changes, we are going to a bad place. But my view is that you start with yourself. Start with yourself. Go inside first. Strengthen yourself. Strengthen your resolve. Strengthen your commitment. If you follow these exercises that I give you, you will be a much more self-disciplined person. You can turn your life around if you can learn to get hold of what you think, what you say, and what you do. Consistent action over time is the key that unlocks the door. That is the red pill. This is the red pill. This is what will allow you to wake up from out of your warm, snug matrix pod with tubes down your gob and up your bum, and you know you're pink and you have no eyebrows and you're covered in pink goo like Neo. What causes you to wake up and open the pod and get into an uncomfortable, cold, hard reality in which the reality is, hey, things ain't looking too fucking bright out here, but we can fight it, but we can deal with it, and we can win. This is the red pill. You need to wake yourself up. And you've got to be prepared to deal with pain, because we've all become too thin-skinned. Life is too easy now. There is too much stuff. It's easy in the physical realm, but it's worse than it's ever been in the mental realm. I'm talking as a psychologist right now, I think that we suffer way more mental anguish now than we would have any other times in history. And part of the mental anguish is actually caused by all the stuff. We are not evolved to deal with this many options. We are not evolved to deal with living with this much abundance. It is not natural. It is not normal. And that's another reason why you feel anxious and depressed. Because you should be running naked in the savannas of Africa, plucking berries from trees and beating saber-toothed tigers to death with clubs. Maybe. Certainly, though, the way we've evolved hasn't yet caught up with the rate at which technology has changed our environment, and it never will. Evolution now will never catch up with the rate of technological change. There is no chance of that happening. If anything, we have to consciously choose to evolve ourselves. We are now entering into a phase where we must become consciously aware and consciously in control of our own evolution. And tools like this, one of the tools that I give you on this course is how to meditate. A very simple introduction to Zen meditation, without all the bells, without all the finery and the very silly, everybody who teaches Zen seems to believe that a soft whispery voice is required in order to enter into the infinite. It fucking doesn't require that. Zen is a meditative tradition that was propagated by soldiers, rough-arsed men of war who cut other men's heads off because that was their daily job. Don't give me whispery voice time, please. Zen meditation belongs to us. It belongs to everybody who wants it. Anybody who wants to experience Zen meditation should have the ability. So if you don't like the word Zen or you don't like the Japanese tradition, please don't fucking whinge to me about your needs. Call it meditation, call it something else. The reason I like the Zen meditation system is because it's the purest meditation out there. What's it based on? Nothing. Nothingness. Beautiful. Nothing is more perfect than nothing. That's a Zen phrase. Nothing is more perfect than nothing. It is based on adhering to nothingness. It's not about visualizing Buddha floating around on a cloud. It's not about 7 levels of this and going and visiting this god, that god and the other god. It's about nothingness. It is not a transmission, it's a reception. And I can teach you how to do it inside of 5 to 10 minutes, and I teach you how to do it on the course. Basically, I'll give it to you for free right now. Go and sit somewhere, be as still as you can, be as calm as you can, listen to the sound of your own breathing. You're not going to be able to switch off your thoughts. That will take a good long time of meditating before you do that. But just turn them down a little bit. Just try and draw them into being quiet. And once you've drawn them into being quiet, just don't attach yourself to them. Just see the thoughts for what they are and go, oh, I'm thinking about catfish right now. How strange. Catfish was the first thing that came into my head. Oh, I'm thinking about catfish right now. Well, I'll let go of that thought of catfish and I'll return to my breathing. And that's all you need to do. That's Zen meditation. Doesn't need years of initiation. To become a good meditator is like a muscle. It has to be worked over time. But everybody should have access to this stuff. Turn off the TV, put down the sugary carbonated drinks, and sit there and do nothing. Literally do a nothingness. That will improve your life dramatically. So what I've given on this course, it's called Military Mindset Training, the cultivation of mental toughness. It's to give you tools to actually de-hook from the matrix. It's to give you, I don't want to go all conspiracy theory and weird on you, but this really is a way of accessing the red pill, a way of going, okay, I'm not happy. Everybody around me is clearly not happy. I'm sick of this. I want to try something else. And there is no agenda here. Once you've paid the whatever it is I charge, and I make these things very cheap, you probably get like, I think this is 1, 2, 3. This is 2.5 hours of training that you will get for a low price. I'm not telling you how to live. There is no agenda to me training you in this. You get to choose your own objectives. Part of this course is I will give you a goal setting exercise, and whatever your goals are, whatever your objectives are, you go and do them. I'll give you that for free as a separate part of the package. And it will allow you to access what your values are, what makes you feel enthusiastic. Look, we've all got to get back to who we are. We're all being pulled outside of ourselves. Come outside of yourself. Come outside of yourself. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Do this, do that, do the other. No. Now it's time to come back to yourself and ask yourself the question, what do I want? The chances are you don't really know. The chances are, if I sat in front of you and made eye contact with you and said, what do you want? What do you want? Tell me what you want, that you would start to feel very anxious very quickly. Because you don't, most people, I'm not saying you as in you, I'm saying me as well. It's taken a couple of years of fairly intense work on myself to get to the point where I actually realise who I am. In the statement, what do I want? In the question, what do I want? We have to even identify who the I is. If your boundaries are porous, if your boundaries have been broken and fractured, and trust me, they have been. If you grew up in this culture, you're not healthy. You're not well. You weren't raised right. You were traumatized. You've got problems. Or you could say, I'm trying to make you feel insecure. No, I'm trying to tell you the truth. The truth is, most people don't even know who they are. They don't even know what their own desires and needs and wants are. Once you've identified the I, then you can start identifying the wants. I'll give you a goal setting exercise to do. It's unusual. It's different to any goal setting exercise you've done before, because it's really not about your goals. It's not about going, oh, I want a red Ferrari. Oh, I'd love a yacht. It's about whittling down to your values. You probably don't even know really clearly what spins your props. One of the reasons you feel depressed and no enthusiasm and no optimism is because you're not doing what you love to do. You don't know what you love to do. You don't know what your values are. You don't know what makes you passionate. You don't know what turns you on. You don't know what makes you like, yes, come on, let's get this done. Of course you don't feel any motivation doing a job that means nothing to you, living a life that is just bullshit piled upon bullshit piled upon bullshit, one lie after another until you're in this massive web of lies and you don't know what the truth is anymore. So we've got to come back to ourselves. We've got to come back to a more simple way of looking at reality, and this course will allow you to do that. It's called the Military Mindset Training Course. It's all about the cultivation of mental toughness, because it's not... The main thing is to become mentally tougher, to become mentally strong enough to actually take some pain, to take some suffering, to take some inconvenience, to become strong again, to reclaim our emotional and psychological independence. And through doing that, through improving ourselves, I genuinely believe that we can make the world a better place. Not that it's my responsibility to do that necessarily. My responsibility is to serve my customer base, but I actually think this is the best way to get things done. No man is an island. One of the key elements of the goal setting exercise is I'll talk to you about Tony Robbins' model, which is that we have certain human needs. And one of the human needs is contribution. You need to feel like you're contributing and making the world a better place, because if you're not and you don't feel that, you'll feel sad and you'll feel anxious. Are you contributing? Don't feel guilty. Most people aren't. Do you contribute to your community? It feels good to. If you can actually make a genuine difference, it's a hell of a buzz. And it's a better buzz than you get from watching TV or drinking alcohol or taking a drug or anything else. It's a really, really strong buzz, and it's completely natural, and you're making the world a better place. So that's this course. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you've got any questions, as ever, it's richie@streetfightsecrets.com. And if you want any coaching, if you want any therapy type work, do just get in contact with me. Doing a lot of work via Skype at the moment. It's not expensive. It's $50 an hour, which is about 30 quid, which is 150 ringgit, which is, I don't know what it is in NZ. It must be $60 NZ. So yeah, get in touch if that's what you want. And if you've got any suggestions, just let me know and I will speak to you soon. Cheers. Bye bye.